Missouri Compromise, 1820. The Missouri Compromise was a bill created to settle slave/free disputes in Missouri, created by Henry Clay. It admitted Maine as a free state and Missouri as a slave state, but banned slavery north of the 3620 southern Missouri border. Wilmot Proviso. The Wilmot Proviso was a bill created to ban all slavery gained from the Mexican Cession. It was never passed due to Southerners in the Senate, but it angered the Southerners greatly. Free Soil Party formed, 1848. The Free Soil Party was formed by abolitionists to stop the expansion of slavery. Free soil, free speech, free labor, free men is their motto. Compromise of 1850. 1850. Henry Clay created the Compromise to settle disputes about California. It admitted California as a free state while abolishing slave trade in Washington, D.C., however not allowing Congress to pass laws against slavery and land gain from the Mexican Cession. They would also pass a law to strengthen slaveholders. Fugitive Slave Act, 1850. Passed with the Compromise of 1850, it allowed slaveholders to take accused runaway slaves in the North and bring them back without a warrant. A federal commissioner rules each case. Uncle Tom's Cabin published, 1852. Abolitionist writer Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin after being outraged by the Fugitive Slave Act. This book shows how cruel and inhumane slavery is. Kansas-Nebraska Act, 1854. This bill was created to organize the territories into slave and free. Popular sovereignty, majority vote, was decided to please the South. Although it ruined the Missouri Compromise, it passed. Bleeding Kansas, 1854 to 1861. Sack of Lawrence. Pro-slavery mob looted the town of Lawrence. Datawani Massacre. John Brown led 7 other men in a massacre of 5 of his pro-slavery neighbors. For 3 years, civil war broke out in Kansas. Republican Party formed, 1854. Anti-slavery Northerners were angered by the violence in Kansas, and they created the Republican Party as a political organization against slavery. Brooks/Sumner caning, 1856. Sumner spoke against pro-slavery and insulted A.P. Butler, who wasn't present at the meeting. A relative of Butler, Preston Brooks, beat Sumner into unconsciousness at his desk the next day. Dred Scott versus Sanford, 1856. Dred Scott's owners died, and he believed he was free, while Sanford, who would inherit the land, said he owned Scott. Dred Scott filed a lawsuit, and when it made it to the Supreme Court, Roger B. Taney said that slaves were property, not people. Slaves could now travel freely in the North as property. Lincoln-Douglas debates, 1858. Debates between Abraham Lincoln and Senator Stephen Douglas. Debates discussed slavery and were models for political debates. John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry. 1859. Extreme abolitionist John Brown, looking to start a slave revolt, captured Harper's Ferry U.S. arsenal. No slaves joined the revolt, and Brown was captured with his men and hung. Election of 1860. 1860. Bell and Breckinridge were South candidates, and Lincoln and Douglas were North candidates. Lincoln and Breckinridge were left, and Lincoln ended up winning. The South realized their way of life was in danger. South Carolina secedes. 1860. Before the 1860 election, South Carolina threatened to secede if Lincoln won the election. They said they could voluntarily leave the Union, and on December 20th, 1860, South Carolina seceded, causing other southern states to secede as well. Crittenden Compromise, 1860. A final compromise by John Crittenden suggested slavery be legal south of the Missouri border, no abolish slavery in slave states, and compensate slave owners for runaway slaves. The compromise was defeated in the Senate. Confederate States, 1861. Shortly after seceding, the southern states formed their own country called the Confederate States of America. They created a constitution and named Jefferson Davis as president. First shots at Fort Sumter, 1869. Fort Sumter was a federal fort on an island in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. Began the Civil War by firing the first shots at Fort Sumter.